Good evening, friends. I'm Stephen Banoon. You're watching Israeli News Live with Stephen and Yana Banoon, and we're going to get right into this. Quite a bit of information to cover in a short period of time. Yana, Fox News 13, reporting that Arkansas's National Guard is transporting COVID-19 patients to isolation facility. And I know this may not seem like, it is a big deal, and it should be a big deal, but it's a much graver situation in regards to the fact that one of our own friends with intelligence in Israel is reporting that Israel is locking down on COVID-19 because in reality they're getting ready to go to war. And he also had mentioned to us before last year that when we saw Iran and Israel go to war, that you needed to be prepared because they would genocide the people in the nation. So it seems like that the people over here in Arkansas are kind of getting a little bit of a head start on being able to separate and isolate people under this pandemic situation.
Look at all these faces of this. Look at this woman, Steve. Look at her face. Yeah, that's how I looked when I read this. I mean, can you believe this is actually happening? That they're taking people to isolation facility? Do you trust them? Do you trust for your loved ones to be moved to isolation facility? Now, it might seem like nothing, right? That it's only people who needed it, who have family considerations. For who? For positive COVID patients? Well, do you know what it means to be positive? They don't say sick COVID patients. They don't say dying COVID patients with high
Just
fevers
positive.
or the ones who are barely breathing. It's enough for you to be positive. Now, positive result can be either false positive, fake positive, or it can just simply mean that in the past you had coronavirus, which is a simple cold, common cold, and you overcame common cold in your life. So you have natural antibodies. And can you imagine to be transported to isolation facility? Okay, why don't you read this news? We are going to leave you with links, but this is absolutely horrific thing that is happening to American citizens. And I don't understand if American citizens just won't do anything about it. I just can't comprehend that. An experimental COVID-19 vaccine being rushed through development will require more than one injection. Let's read this. A lot of Americans.
It's bad enough that you're going to get a COVID virus vaccine to begin with, let alone multiple ones.
Well, this is the reality of this situation. A lot of people think, oh, well, we are going to line up for a vaccine so we can get to our Starbucks, so we can get to a mall, so we can get back to normal life. You will never have normal life. This is never going to stop because their coronavirus is always going to do what they want it to do. It's whatever their agenda is. And their agenda is to kill you with the vaccines. And those vaccines are never going to stop. A lot of Americans are assuming that eventually a newly developed COVID-19 vaccine will put an end to this pandemic. And many of those same people are assuming that all they will have to do is get one shot and they will be protected from the virus for the rest of their lives. Unfortunately, that is not the way that it's going to work. As you will see below, the experimental vaccine that is making the most headlines will require 2 shots, and those 2 shots will be a month apart. And because COVID-19 antibodies disappear in just a few months, those that get a vaccine will need a booster shot very rapidly after the first 2 injections, and then another one, and then another one, and then more booster shots at regular intervals in perpetuity. Did you hear this? They want to keep jabbing you constantly, 2-3 times a year, 1 month apart, for all kinds of illusions that they're going to come up with, that this virus mutated, this virus now does this virus now affects this. Do you see how they can lie to you? Up till now, they did nothing but lied, and this thing will never stop until they will have the required number of 500 million people. 500 million, just like the false gospel in Georgia Guidestones or satanic gospel on Georgia Guidestone states major depopulation agenda. Okay, here we go. State bar group calls for mandatory COVID-19 vaccinations regardless of objections. This is from May 28, 2020. But the lawyers are asking for mandatory COVID-19 vaccinations without any excuses or objections. Some Americans may push back on a COVID-19 vaccination for religious, philosophical, or personal reasons, says the report released on Thursday by the NYSBA, but it says, for the sake of public health, mandatory vaccinations for COVID-19 should be required in the United States as soon as it is available. So they are preparing to make it mandatory and give you a very difficult time if you don't want to take a vaccine. You can see it now with the masks. People who don't want to be masked are ostracized. All right, Bill Gates and his Gavi Vaccine Alliance launching AI-powered trust stamp, combining a vaccine and digital biometric ID in West Africa. A new biometric identity platform partnered with the Gates-founded Gavi Vaccine Alliance and MasterCard will launch in West Africa and combine COVID-19 vaccinations, cashless payments, and potential law enforcement applications. Total 1984 Orwellian society, Steve. Complete control, insanity, fascism on steroids. Okay, now what is this Bill Gates founded Gavi Vaccine Alliance? Well, that's something that our own president is financing.
And guys, listen, pay really close attention to this because you're going to actually see a video here in just a moment. And I think it's important because I know that after we really blasted Bill Gates and his vaccines, Trump being pro-vaccine, etc., one of our, really close associate and friend, Paul Begley, was saying to me privately, he said, Steve, he says, Trump is not going to give us a vaccine from Bill Gates. He is distancing himself from that. And he really believes that. And so, listen, I encourage you, please share this video with Paul, and ask him. He needs to really take a serious look at this because here we have Trump is caving in to the directly bill-funded Bill Gates vaccine, the Gavi program. And this was only 3 days ago that we have this article that's saying there. So continue on, Yana, with this, please.
Well, first I want to read this a little bit here. A biometric digital identity platform that evolves just as you evolve is set to be introduced in low-income remote communities in West Africa thanks to a public-private partnership between the Bill Gates-backed Gavi Vaccine Alliance, MasterCard, and AI-powered identity authentication company called Trust Stamp. The program, which was first launched in late 2018, will see Trust Stamp's digital identity platform integrated into the Gavi MasterCard Wellness Pass, a digital vaccination record, an identity system that is also linked to MasterCard's click-to-play system that powered by its AI and machine learning technology called New Data. Now, this is totally beast that it's released on humankind. We have beast here. That beast is here. And people who say Trump is not involved and he's a nationalist and he wants, constitution and he's so good. And no, he caved in. Trump is in this. He is with them, not with you.
Well, for Investment Watch to put this out in the way they titled it, Trump Caves, this may be why Paul himself was saying that Trump is not going to go with something that is Bill Gates. He must, and maybe Trump did. Maybe he was actually pulling away from anything to do with Bill Gates, at least to the public's perception. But the truth
Trump
of the matter is,
can lie, and
sure
he
he
lies
does.
many times. Okay?
His own advisor has told us that.
Exactly.
He said that was his biggest downfall, is that he lies all the time.
People were saying he's withdrawing money from World Health Organization. Oh, he must be pulling out of these globalist organizations. No, he's just putting you back into something horrible again. Okay, he caved in. Trump caves in and directly funds Bill Gates' Global Alliance vaccine initiative after withdrawing money from World Health Organization. So first he withdraws money. Everybody is so happy. And then he caves in and funds Bill Gates. Okay, the genocidal Bill Gates. Now Gates won't have to deal with pesky bureaucracy and can pocket those sweet funds directly. So basically what Trump did, he helped Bill Gates. It was harder on Bill Gates with World Health Organization, so Trump helped him out. That's what happened. Okay, so here.
Blow it up big, though, so people can see it. I want them to see. That way, some people try to say, that's not what he was saying. I want them to see his lips.
Gavi operates with great transparency, and Boris Johnson is somebody with tremendous respect for you and everything you do. He called, he said, you think you could do something maybe around the Oval Office or right by the Oval Office? I said, why not? It happens to be right behind me. As the coronavirus has shown, there are no borders. It doesn't discriminate. It's mean, it's nasty, but we're going to all take care of it together. It's great to be partnering with you. We will work hard. We will work strong. Send my regards to Boris, and good luck. Let's get the answer.
All right, let's play just a little bit more so people can hear this again. Notice he says Gavi. That is the very Bill Gates Foundation. Listen again.
Gavi operates with great transparency. Gavi operates with great transparency. Gavi operates with great transparency.
There's your three as a witness.
That's right. So he is a partner of Bill Gates. And he is telling you lies about coronavirus. Why he doesn't say it's a hoax and a pandemic, scamdemic. He will not tell you that. So there you go, Trump supporters. Here's another article, The Sons of Liberty Media. Donald Trump partners with Gates-funded Global Vaccine Alliance, Gavi, and the same video. And do your own research further. Let's keep going. What is happening? This is a Dr. Carrie Madej. I'm sorry if I mispronounced her name. That's the way I would pronounce it in my language. But she's saying to you something very interesting. She's a doctor of osteopathy. And some people they basically do not believe that human genome can be genetically modified.
Right.
So she's explaining to you that right now this is happening, and they cannot patent anything biological. Those evil people like Bill Gates, they cannot patent anything that God created himself.
They have to alter it.
So they have to alter it genetically, and then they patent it, and then they own the patent. And this is what they want to do to our genome. This is what they're about to do to us. And let her explain it.
To question. It's going to be very important for this vaccine that's coming up. And so let me introduce some basic facts first, and then I will give you some information about what has been going on since we've been distracted on the media, and I'll give you some of the conclusions in the end. And then as far as some of the data that I'm going to present, I will give you some references that you could look up on your own. Give me a day or two to put those on the group's album page, okay? So first of all, some information to digest. Each of us has enough DNA in our bodies that could stretch up to 10 billion miles when uncoiled. That's about 35,000 terabytes of data, which is about 35 million hours of high definition video. So what information would this hold? The blueprint for life, how to create it, how your body functions, how it grows, how it reproduces, our thoughts and memories, just to begin with some of those. Also important to know that DNA is similar to a computer code or a binary code. So if you're familiar with those, where it takes a small change in the pattern or code and will have a very grand effect. So you can insert a genome or gene, into the genome. So you can put something extra in there. You can take something out so that it's missing one. You can translocate, meaning you take one part of the genome and put it into another area and flip-flop them. Or you can take another synthetic or from another organism, a genome, and cut out part of the genome of the human and insert that other genome in there. When you're doing this, you are rewriting your genetic code. You are writing your software program. And how much change of that code would it take to then be considered not human? And is that ethical and legal, whether or not we know what's going on, okay? These are very important things to discuss because they're trying to roll out this technology within this year. This is also considered to be an engineered cell line or synthetic cell line or genetically modified cell line. Those are all different words that might be used. You have to understand the lingo because it can be confusing what someone's trying to talk about. An interesting point is that we cannot patent anything natural or from nature, but we can patent something that's been created, modified, or engineered. A good example is Monsanto. It can genetically modify the seeds, therefore it's created something a little different. You may see the corn or the tomato or whatever in the grocery store, and it looks the same as a wild type, but it's not. They changed something. So on the outside it looked the same, but on the inside it's not. So therefore they own those seeds. Now if it's a wild type, one that just grows from nature, they cannot patent that. They can't own that, okay? So, translate that or transpose that onto a human cell line or a human. That could potentially mean that we could be patented or human cell lines could be patented. And if it's patented, it has to have owners. So I think you might see where I'm going with this. And then what if our DNA is modified with genes from another species? Are we still human? Is this transhumanism? And then what if our DNA, our genome is modified and thus can be patented and owned? This is not a sci-fi movie or a future event. This is right now, today. This is called recombinant DNA and recombinant RNA technology. And this is what is proposed for COVID-19 vaccine.
Okay. Did you hear this? What will be COVID-19 vaccine is going to change our genome. Listen, what they're doing spiritually to you is this. You are created on God's image. Beast is creating you on his image. This is what is happening. For all those Christians out there that are saying this is not true, I really need you to listen to this doctor. Listen to what they're doing with this recombinant DNA, messenger RNA, and what the technology is for the COVID-19 vaccine and what they're doing. You know how she explained that you have corn that looks like a corn in a store, but it's not a corn because it's genetically modified and now they can patent it and own it? Well, they're about to do this to us. They are done with us. And that's because they hate God, they hate humans, and they hate God's creation. Again, we are created on God's image. They want to recreate us on beast image. And this is exactly what's going on. I'm going to leave you a link. Please listen to entire 22-minute video. For the sake of time, we're going to move on. Steve, did you want to say anything?
No, that's fine.
Okay. Next, Newsom shuts
down California churches indefinitely.
Okay, so remember June 9, Dr. June 9, she came up with this saying, we are in this together, which means we are in this to get her. Yes, I'm not telling you now that it's okay to be in 501c3 church, but there is something happening. The churches are attacked. Now they're indefinitely closed. Yes.
Well, the attack, Yana, is actually on Christians themselves.
Exactly.
They have the power to shut these churches down because they are 501c entities, which are government organizations. But so the real attack is to shut down not the churches, but to silence Christians, take away their voice, and muzzle them, as we see with what they're doing.
Yes, so pastors who were leaders of 501c3 churches sold you out. They sold you out. The California Department of Health clarified Tuesday that indoor religious services in the state have been suspended indefinitely. So first, don't sing, right? And which leads to don't even attend. Don't go together.
Right.
Don't sing. Don't praise Jesus. No.
One thing, let me just state though, Yana, and I really, I think we can state this from the experience that Chuck Baldwin went through. Uh, Many pastors, no doubt, have sold their flocks out, but there are a lot of 501c pastors that once they're in there, they're stuck. It is not easy to get out, and maybe some of them have been waking up, but of course it's a little bit too late because Chuck said it took him years to be able to get out from underneath this 501c web that he was under.
Not easy. And now it's practically impossible. Okay. So it's over, friends. It's over. Okay. Here we go. Another very good video here. Documentary claims COVID-19 pandemic is a live simulation exercise which 196 countries signed off on in 2005. Wow. Now, this is article from July 9th from Humans Are Free. I will leave you a link. I'm only going to do a little bit of this video here below. But what's interesting, it's a live simulation exercise and it has been planned since 2005 and 196 countries have signed off on it. So what do you think that presidents, leaders, governors, mayors, what do you think? They wouldn't place their people in there so they're playing this game on you?
We were told, Yana, that this was planned more than a decade in advance from White House sources.
Yes, and a lot of people, zombies, are buying in that, they just care for your health. If they truly cared for your health, and if this was really just random virus that just came out of nowhere, and they would be, why are they not telling you anything about boosting your immune system? You really think that social distancing and masks can be like a cure to this infection? Why not vitamin C and sunshine and good food and organic food? Why not all of that? But it's obvious. All right, well, let's listen a little bit to this video. I will leave you links to the whole thing.
Online on the World Health Organization website and on various other websites. And what it reveals, however, is pretty huge. What it basically reveals is that this entire COVID-19 so-called pandemic that we are seeing around the world was actually the product of a plan, a world plan that 194 countries signed off on. And in fact, it was the consequence of a world agreement made many years ago, and something to which all of these countries have been building up onto the present day. So to kind of establish the truth of what I'm saying over here, I'm going to very briefly point to a few statements and then I'll come back and go through these documents in greater detail. So first of all, let me just go to this page. It's on the World Health Organization website, who.int, and if you can find it from the newsroom, and it talks about international health regulations, and it basically says that the international health regulations, which has a date attached to it, the 2005, represents a binding international legal agreement involving 196 countries across the globe, including all the member states of WHO. You know, I've seen both these numbers, 194 and 196, and I'll show you both in a second. Their aim is to help the international community prevent and respond to acute public health risks that have the potential to cross borders and threaten people worldwide. The purpose and scope of the IHR 2005 is to protect against, control, and provide a public health response to the international spread of disease in ways that are commensurate with and restricted to public health risks and which avoid unnecessary interference with international traffic and trade. Now, I'm going to very briefly go to a page, it's page 39 of the Global Preparedness Monitoring Board's 2019 annual report. Now, I'll talk more about this board and their various annual reports in just a minute. And I'd like to go through this particular document in a little detail. It's a bit of an overview document, so, a lot of fluff and not much substance, so it will be easy to kind of go straight through. Look at numbers 1 and 2 under progress indicators by September 2020. And these are progress indicators for a particular objective. And this is the objective. It's sort of last or lower down in this document, and I'll come back to it later. But this is what it's talking about. The United Nations must strengthen coordination mechanisms. It's talking about coordination across countries, across health systems, not just nationwide, but worldwide, across nation borders, during health emergencies, and working with the United Nations and working with the WHO. Okay, and I'll go back and read all of that later more closely. But the progress indicators for this particular objective or mission are these. 1, the Secretary General of the United Nations, with the Director General of the WHO and Under Secretary General for Humanitarian Affairs, strengthens coordination, identifies clear roles and responsibilities, timely triggers for a coordinated UN system-wide response for health emergencies. So it simply spells out who's responsible, and as you can tell, it's the United Nations and the World Health Organization. Now, the United Nations, including WHO, and this is the one, that we need to look at very closely, conducts at least 2 system-wide training and simulation exercises, including one covering the deliberate release of a lethal respiratory pathogen. And as I said, I'll come back to this document.
Okay, so you're kidding me. They're actually admitting here that they have been preparing for this since 2005. Please watch this entire video.
Well, this one here was 2019, this particular document on that page there. The other one was 2005, but it just goes to show, though, that they were putting it all into place.
It's all pre-planned. They have played us. They are playing people, and we can't wake them up. Okay? This is 1 hour, 40 minutes. We don't have time on these news right now to go to all of it, but please take time and listen to this lady. She has done an enormously good job exposing all of this out of their own documents. Very important information, friends. Here, I will leave you with this link here on Paul Institute. Ron Paul says media is lying about the second wave. Of course, they're lying. He's basically explaining to you, more people are tested. They're going to force test everyone. So
that's why the numbers
rise, because a lot of people have antibodies to corona. Then that's one reason. Second reason, coronavirus is, of course, just a regular cold virus, or it's no big deal really. And then another reason,
issue, Yana, the fact that the people have the antibodies. Because how many times do you hear over and over and over, they show the person on the news, I tested positive for COVID-19, and it doesn't show a single symptom. It's because of antibodies, not because they're sick.
Exactly. And that's a good thing that people have antibodies to common cold coronavirus. But the second thing is that a lot of these tests are unreliable. They were tainted with coronaviruses. They are false positive. So it's not a reliable information, and there's no spike. Nothing even remotely similar is happening. This is all a lie and a hoax. So please read his report. Very important information, interesting information that Ron Paul is trying to tell you. This video, we'll leave you a link. This is a pharmacist lady. She's a Christian lady who is warning us that pharmacists are going to get power now over you. Okay, it's not just nurses, doctors, now a pharmacist, and they're received this legislation. They're going to be treating skin lesions and lice. Why is that? Why do you think that would be? I mean, use your imagination. Is this because they're going to mess with our electric grid and people or water? They're going to stop our water. What do you think, Steve? What can happen?
Doesn't she speak on there also, Yana, about cities being devastated?
Well, I don't know. I don't remember anymore. But again, it's 26 minutes. Let's listen.
You don't know the legislation that's coming it's going to be so bad. Now, the whole reason I'm finally breaking down and doing a video is because, just like you've heard, the physicians get practice updates from the boards of medicine. All the healthcare practitioners that are licensed professions get practice updates as well. And we've been getting board of pharmacy updates, every couple weeks or every month or whatever. And we just got another one last night. And it just is absolutely horrific. It is really horrific what's coming. And anybody who's getting practice updates, you need to read into them and use those as a gauge to really think about what's coming. Don't just listen to whatever practice guidelines they're sending you, because, all the people that were put on ventilators and had their lungs blown out, they weren't COVID deaths. They had broken arms, they had, bronchitis, they had anything. And you already know, the people who are watching this video, that the doctors were told that they need to put COVID-19 as a cause of death. And if they were tested and they were negative, they still had to list them as a, comorbid cause of death. It's just ridiculous. The lies are ridiculous. And it's all to bump the numbers up so that people will believe there's a problem. And the reason why they want everyone to wear masks is so that we all reinforce the image that there's a big problem, so that people will believe there's a problem. Now, let me just tell you something. Okay, the newest thing that they're doing with pharmacy, don't know why we didn't hear about this, why we didn't have any input, go up to Tallahassee, whatever, but it's already done. So now they've made pharmacists limited practitioners under protocol for specific conditions. Now, given the big problems, the typical problems that we have, diabetes, hypercholesterolemia, hypertension, and, the doctors are swamped with that. Hence, we've got the advanced nurse practitioners that work under protocols, work under physicians, PAs that work under protocol, under physicians, to help alleviate the bulk of their patient load for some of the things that they can triage and prescribe. So, wouldn't it be weird if they just implemented, now pharmacists are going to be under protocol with physicians for what disease states or what conditions would make sense? Well, given what's going on now, it shouldn't come as a surprise to you that it's going to involve COVID and influenza-related vaccinations, issues, and testing. That shouldn't surprise you. But what really got me was, instead of hypertension, diabetes, cholesterol, anything normal, what they've put in place are things that you would predominantly see in a population after there has been a complete destruction in an environment, in a community, in a state, in a country. They wouldn't go out of their way to get a law passed and specifically name these 4 things unless they knew that these 4 things were going to soon be an issue. I hope you understand what I'm going to say, because I can't tell my family, just like with the Mandela effect stuff, they can't hear me. They're going around wearing masks, and I try to tell them anything. They cannot hear a word I say. And it is just, I'm so tired. I'm so exhausted. I am absolutely exhausted from the sheer everything that I got to deal with here. It's too much. So what are they putting in place under protocol? Well, one of them are lice, treatment for lice, and skin infections, and streptococcus, and of course the influenza and the other COVID bullshit. Now, why wouldn't we be seeing treating these other chronic health conditions that are such a cost burden? You can treat lice over the counter.
Scabies. Okay. Okay, because of time, sake of time, we can't keep going on here forever, but
I'm going to have to listen to this video.
can you please listen to this lady, because they're preparing something horrific.
Yeah.
Something horrible.
And the thing is, when she talks about this devastation to cities, and then we know with our intelligence source,
Steve? Is this war? Is this weather event? Is this, what are they talking about? Body lice? Well, we won't be able to take a bath. Okay, will there be electric grid? Something happens to electric grid? They're preparing something horrible.
And the nations, as you reported already, Yana, have been different nations have been calling their citizens out of America to come back home. They're planning a major conflict, or either destruction by asteroid, whatever, or maybe a combination of all these
combination
things.
Of everything, just like Bill Cooper said, that they're going to bring all of it together at once, so they make sure that this new world order happens.
Yep.
So we will be so weak and unable to stand up to it, because they're going to attack us on every side imaginable. So just heads up for all this. Now here, talk about Agenda 2030, false climate change agenda. Now look at this: climate cult, insanity, prison, and fines for those who contradict official global warming narrative. So now when you expose Agenda 2030 for their fake climate change, you will go to prison. Look at this, prison sentence. Talk about free speech. If you don't understand Constitution is long gone, I hope you will understand it once you read this article. We'll leave you a link. I want to talk a little bit about Deagle.com. What is Deagle.com? There is a very strange information on this. I was doing research, Deagle.com. What is this particular website? According to their own website, Deagle.com, Deagle provides news and intelligence on international military aviation and advanced technologies. Their website has articles dating back to 2003, but little is known about the real owners. Well, anyway, here Deagle, a real intelligence organization for United States, Deagle makes mysterious changes to 2025 population forecasts. Okay, here we go. Deagle.com, military site, predicts economic collapse and massive U.S. depopulation. Massive U.S. depopulation. So read this article, and then let me show you something. This is another article. We'll leave you all the links. Okay, Deagle makes mysterious changes to 2025 population forecast for America as Bill Gates launches grand challenge, the holy grail of influenza research and bridging the valley of death. Very good article to read. But what is this Deagle, and what it has to do? All of this has to do with Bill Gates and all this coronavirus, and what are they planning? Okay, when you go on Deagle.com, you can go to home like this. You can put to search, and you put United States, and then instead of equipment, you go to country. It says here United States of America. You click on it, and here we go. Here it says 2017, the year 2017, population is 327 million. Okay, so United States population, 327 million. They're talking about military budget, domestic products, import, export, all kinds of information. But notice this again, 2017, 327 million. Here's a forecast for 2025. Look at the gross the population. Look at the population, 100 million.
That's 227 million less. Now, Yana, one thing I'd like to point out is the world population is 7.4 billion at that time. The world population only drops down 500 million. The U.S. is losing 227 million. So out of the world population, almost a quarter of the lives that will be lost, or actually maybe even over a quarter of the lives that would be lost, will be coming from the United States. No, not quite a quarter. Almost 25%, about 22% of the lives that will be lost will be from the United States itself, out of the entire globe.
So we can speculate here what it is, but I know one thing. United States citizens are targeted specifically. It's Americans are targeted for something.
And Yana, not even in war. That's something people really need to think about. Not even in an all-out war could you have, in that short period of time, 5 years, 227 million deaths. Unless, A, they were dropping nuclear bombs on practically every city across the nation.
I have no idea what it can be. We can speculate, but yeah,
Exactly.
Is it a weather event? Is it because most United States population lives near coastal lines and they're planning on these major, not only asteroids like some of the sources told us, but the Schiphol shift or New Madrid line.
To me, it would have to be something that drastic.
Or is it the vaccines? Are they experimenting on us before the war and all these weather events? I have no idea. We just know that something is coming. Now, the Deagle.com.
That's like.
I'm looking, I was trying to see, is this some kind of satire website? No, it appears to be a normal military website.
2 out of 3 people will die.
This is
more than 2 out of 3.
Horrible. I don't know what to say. Maybe some of you already heard this, but I just discovered this and it's horrific. Now let's see Mexico, right? Let's see if there's any other. Let's see Canada. Okay. Canada. Let's go to country. Canada. Population in 2017, 36 million. In 2025,
they lose 10 million.
They only lose 10 million. But look how many we lose.
All right, here's the thing, though. Think about it, though, Yana.
I know Seriously. They have less people than...
They have less people. But it can't be a war because Canada wouldn't necessarily be in a war, the same war we would be in. And to still lose 10 million. So let's look at Mexico. All right. And then we're going to have to take and look at the logical X. 125
Nobody
million.
dies in Mexico, guys. See, friends? The Mexico is safe. Maybe we should all move there. Just kidding. I don't know what to say.
Maybe then it is war then, because the thing is Canada would come to the United States as aid. All right. Try something different, Yana. Try Brazil.
If they have it on here, I don't know. Let's see. Country, Brazil. Let's see. Population 207 million.
They grow.
Increase.
210 million.
Isn't that weird? Okay, well.
This has got to be war.
I don't know. We can speculate. This is all speculation, but we just wanted to share this with you. I know it's a long broadcast. We got to kind of finish.
Yeah, let's. Okay, there is one thing I saw, and I just quickly wanted to see if I can find it again. Which one of these? I guess it's this one right here. Yeah, this. Yeah. Let me just kind of look at something real quick right here. Did you notice this on the part of the website here? Or let me just play.
Gavi operates with great transparency, and Boris Johnson is.
There. I thought when I first saw it, when it popped up, I didn't see the P on president. So I thought when it's down like that for a second, it looked like resident.
No.
I'm
okay.
Like, okay, all right, never mind.
Yes.
Anyway.
Okay, if anybody knows anything more about this Deagle.com and what it is, I'm trying to get to the bottom of this because this is very alarming, friends, this forecast for 2025. It just kind of like, come on. Is United States targeted for something? Because the forecast is enormous loss of people.
Very grim.
I don't know what to say, but anyway... good night, because it's getting late and Steve still will have...
Good evening, friends. Yes, we're going to be doing a live broadcast over on Fact News Network. Also, Israeli News Live, I'll record for that one as well on what we're going to be talking about, this inevitable war with Israel and Iran. I'm Stephen Ben-Nun with Yana Ben-Nun, Israeli News Live. Good evening.